Now, let me add another piece to this. So the board members right now are saying that the only thing that counts is those now 8,000, roughly 8,000 students that are in our district. That's the only thing that counts in this. And I challenge you to say, I don't think you're leading the committee much room to say there's only 8,000 students here. Who says that you can't repurpose your buildings? Who says you can't have a community college or a small college move into North? Are we not going to count any of those students? Are we not going to use that as a utilization, that we're utilizing more of that building? What if we have a dance studio that wants to move in to one of our buildings and they're going to take up 3 classrooms? Does that mean that's not counted in utilization because it's not a part of our 8,000? What if the senior citizens want to come over and rent out, let's say SOC runs out of room and they want to come over and take 5 of our downstairs building? Are we going to say that those rooms don't count to be utilized in our district? And so I say to you that I think this community, we need a children's theater. We have 5 places like this in the district. Could a children's theater off the Grosse Pointe Theater take over one of our facilities and make it into something? So in after hours from 4 to 10 o'clock at night, if they chose to do children's theater, do we say that, you know, we can't count those kids that are in that program because our occupancy is about our 8,000 students and we have X amount of rooms? What if Beaumont wants to take over a wing of the bottom of our building and they want to put a dentist office and they want to put a pediatric and they want to put child care or some other thing in there? Or let's say all these therapies that we need our kids to have. What if they had a site like that in our district? Are we saying that those rooms don't count? We just did 9. We're going to talk about 2 infant additions to our pre-K. We've just taken 9 classrooms in our district and repurposed them into, well, I'm not going to even use those words because we can't seem to live up to those words, budget neutral classroom utilization. Do those rooms don't count anymore? We've got Head Start wanting to come over to Papard and use 2 more classrooms in our building. So we're going to say, I'm sorry, we can't count those anymore because they're going to be used all year long. So the point of it is when we talk about utilization on their study, we took it on the 8,000 students we currently have in our district. But what if we find a way? What if we have 2 virtual classrooms available that we become the Michigan Virtual? We have the best faculty and staff in the state. What if we made Michigan Virtual ours and we claimed 2,000 students from around Michigan that became a part of us? So are we saying we don't get to count those 2,000 students? I just think we aren't allowing 40 or 50 people with creative juices and abilities to think to creatively give us these solutions. And what we're doing to ourselves is we're running down that rabbit hole of saying it has to be downsized, it has to be we have to close buildings, we have to do these kinds of things. And the point of it is maybe we will have to do some of those things. But I think we ought to try to go to the community and say, what can you do to help us repurpose these buildings that help us in our budget? Let me give you a quick example of that. In 2 years, in 2 quick years, by putting LED lighting in every one of our classrooms and every one of our buildings, in 2 years, we can reduce our energy costs and we can basically pay out our what we spent for bulbs. In 2 years, we cut our electricity bills by 30 or 40 or whatever percent you're going to cut them. Why can't we repurpose our buildings and use some of our money, these monies that might be available to us, or grants that could be available through that process? Why can't we use that? And so I guess I want to make sure that Brian read my 3 questions off to you the first time through. I'd like to have this to be a verifiable, credible, whatever the other third word is, a sustainable plan. And the 3 words I use is credible because If this board doesn't back their plan or their data, or if we want to tear it apart in a referendum, then it's not credible. If it's not sustainable, it doesn't mean it's going to last 5 or 10 years. And if we don't have any credibility in them, the company, or them, the committee, then we're wasting our time to have them get started on it. So I guess what I'd like to see the board do is give them as general, I think I've heard the group around here say, let's give them as big of a target as they can swallow at this point in time, and give them a chance to work on it. We've got 3 board members right now that will represent the board at those meetings. So if you feel like we're drifting off and going in a different direction than you think this board can get 4 votes to pass, then we'll bring it back here and we'll have that discussion before we allow them to go further in the process. And this works very similar, as much as I've got some that don't believe in the system, this works very similar to what we did with the strategic plan. It builds consensus in our neighborhoods. It gives us a chance to go out and build some consensus in town hall meetings in the spring. We hope to be able to get to 400 or 500 people before the year's out with what the consensus of the plan might be. And then I think we go back and determine, you know, is there some savings that we could get out of this 18-19 budget? If there is, then what would be those things we would do? Maybe we would dedicate some funds to the sinking fund that specifies LED lighting or something else, whatever those things are that might save us some money. But I think we have smart enough and dedicated enough and committed community members to this committee that they will give us answers back that we haven't thought about, because they're going to help us generate and create those ideas. And I just think we have to give them a chance.